I am deeply honored to present Harding for Me.
Thank you all for coming. I'm glad to see you all here today. She's a lovely girl. Does someone want to guess her age, by the way? I photographed her in Ormond by the Sea.
19.
17.
She looks 19 or 17. She is 15 and a half. And her father looked at this and said, "The all-American girl." He was a very happy camper when he saw her. Did her in her driveway. I use and insist upon using natural light, meaning skylight, not sunlight. Sunlight is too harsh. But the softness of bright blue sky light is absolutely perfect, I find, for portraits. I even use them sometimes through windows. So she is in her driveway, and I won't take you through the technical, but I did have someone standing behind holding a background, and I had somebody near me holding a reflector to fill where I wanted to fill. Any comment on her, beside her age, which is 15 and a half? Yes?
Well, what have you done on underneath your cheek there? Is that a blouse? And you
Good for you. Good question, very pertinent question. I very often, when I see that I'm going to be doing particularly a female, but sometimes a male, and by the way, I photograph females a bit more often because they are better subjects. I want my viewer to see something in a way they wouldn't have seen it because of the way I frame it and light it, and very much because of the things I leave out. Less is very often more. If you leave out things that would distract, you concentrate the attention. I want to tell something about that person. Often it's a person, sometimes it's a creature. I have many four-legged creatures, you're going to see some here today. But I want to tell you something about that creature. I want to reveal something about it. Something about the inner workings of that person or that creature, if possible. Not just the exterior. I go for the interior when possible. It's a high order of ambition, but I try. Let's look at the gentleman. His name is George Ogilvy. He's in his early 80s. He's from Scotland, and he speaks at a famous place I'll tell you more about in a moment because we're going to visit it and see many of his, not colleagues, competitors basically. They all speak at Speaker's Corner in London, and George Ogilvy is one of the best. George Ogilvy does not speak on the two favorite subjects, which are religion and politics. Oh, good, you're with me here. Religion and politics. Those are the major ones. He speaks on anything. He can take any subject and deal with it with great intelligence. I've seen him destroy 5 religions in 10 minutes. He's magnificent. He can do anything. He's a very bright man. I think we can move on, Michael. Now, we're going to have a look at the finest museum of art in the world. I know you know what it is. The Louvre. Good. Do you know why the Louvre is called the Louvre? Because the kings of France 300 years ago had on the site of where we now find the Louvre, had a hunting lodge for wolves. And a wolf in French is loup. And the Louvre was the wolf hunting lodge. And that gave its name to the Louvre of today. We're going to see several of the Louvre's greats. I have them here for you today. This is a look at, well, it's inspired by the 3rd century BC Athens, but it's really neoclassical of 2,000 years later. Any comment? I want to hear from you.
Why the shadowing still there?
Why is the shadowing there? I think she's more interesting. If she were full frontal light, I don't think she would be as interesting. I planned the shadowing very carefully. I thought it gives it more depth and more sinuous, more interesting look. But it was contemplated by moi. I did it.
It wouldn't be there if you didn't want it.
Right, exactly. She put that so well. Say it again. Say it in the microphone.
It wouldn't be there if you didn't want it there.
Boy, that was right on the nail. Right on the top of the nail. Any other questions before we go to the next image? No? Here we go. Michael? We're still Grecian. This is Grecian inspired. I've made her, she, very soft deliberately. I know how to make sharp images. You'll see some later. I made her soft because it was part of her mood. So we're just entering the Louvre. We're seeing neoclassical, Grecian-inspired from 3rd century BC Athens, the golden age of Athens, but actually made in the 17 and 1800s later.
Do they have names?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do they have names? The first.
I'm leaving out the name because I really didn't make a note of the name in my head, but I'll give you many other names in future. We're going to have other names coming up. There's one with a name. a very famous sculptor, the best of his age. He made this in 1793, right as the revolution in France was taking off, and it's called Psyche animée par le baiser de l'amour. Do I have a translation in the house?
Only love at the end.
That's close.
The rest of it.
Psyche, meaning the mind, psyche in French, revivified by the kiss of love. And love is the one with the wings. Now he's grown up, but when he was younger, he was Cupidon, and we call him Cupid. He's grown up Cupid, and they call him love when he's grown up. This is a middle treatment. In the large room where they are, you see the full bodies, out to the tip of the wings at the top, and out to the tip of her toes over to the right. So this was, I moved in a bit, and then I moved in even more. Notice by leaving things out, we're concentrating your attention. This one was, by sheer chance, I was contacted by, it was word of mouth, I never go to people, but they'd heard of me. A publisher came to me and told me that they were publishing a book, and that it was about tender relationships between males and females, and did I have a photograph that could serve as the cover. And I didn't send them 10 photographs, I sent them one, and overnight. The next day they called and said, we love it, we want it, and we signed a 3-page contract for this. It's the cover of a book.
Wow.
And the book has done quite well. Do you see how by leaving things out, I've concentrated your attention in a very special area? Most of this great statue couple is left out here. Michael? Now, she has a name.
Marie Antoinette.
Marie Antoinette is coming in a moment. Oh, you're close though. It's the same group of ladies just before the revolution in France. Same group. Now, Marie Antoinette is coming in about the 3rd or 4th next. We're still in the Louvre. Marie Antoinette will be here. Madame du Barry. And the décolletage was a little more relaxed in those days than today, as you can see. Michael. Oh, who could he be? He gave his name to a famous big city in the middle of the United States, in the center of the United States. He is King Louis VIII of France, way back, long before the Revolution, back in the 1100s, when he led a crusade to the Holy Land. And when he arrived back in France, it didn't take long before the Pope had created him a saint. He gave his name to St. Louis, Saint Louis. I lit him very carefully with natural light through windows. That's not electric light. Know who he is? Someone said it.
Robespierre.
You're close. You're very close because same era, almost same era. His name is Voltaire. And you know who he is. He plied his trade during the midst of the French Revolution. He was a very splendid thinker. He impressed me very much as a college freshman and sophomore. But still today, I haven't given up on him. He changed his name from Henri to Voltaire because Voltaire had a little more class, to more elegance. But he is a major philosopher of our world. He's in the, as I said, Louvre a moment ago. Now we're to Marie Antoinette, whom you named a moment ago. Must be grammatical, I'm before a very elegant group here. Whom you named a moment ago. And she did lose her head, as you know, with the revolution, on the Place de la Concorde, in the center of Paris. I lit her very carefully. Look at what I've done on your right side, her left side. Little highlights on her eyelids and a hint of her eyes. I worked at that. Again, it's natural light. Marie Antoinette, yes sir.
You said you lit her. Are you in the Louvre now?
We're still in the Louvre.
And how did you light her?
I lit her from windows and from coming back at different times of day and different times of year until I got it the way I wanted it. I wasn't using electric light, I was using natural light through windows. But I had to wait till I had what I wanted. So in that way, I'm lighting her. Oh, do you recognize, look at his forehead beside her hand. It's a horn. He has a pair of horns. And look at his foot sticking out there to our left. Our left. It's a hoof. Do you know what he is? Close. You're close. You're close.
Minotaur.
Not quite, but centaur is close. He's a satyr. He's a satyr.
Just not loud.
And he has found he's a satyr, he's part of Grecian mythology, of course, but he has found a wood maiden, as you can see, and he's introducing himself to her, in a manner of speaking.
Is that S-A-T-I-R?
S-A-T-Y-R, satyr. Some people say satyr, either way, right? Now we're joining a favorite subject of mine. We're going to couples now. Couples are a favorite subject of mine because something is going on between a couple at all times. Something is taking place. There's a two-way flow, as right here. I was just noticing two-way flow right here. The couples are always in touch with each other. And this couple I encountered in Amsterdam. And notice that they are each busily shortening their lives. See what each has in their hand, yes. She is a Dutch girl, and as you can tell by observing, she's very taken with her boyfriend who came from where? Where did her boyfriend come from?
The Mideast.
Close, but not quite.
India?
Indonesia. He's in Indonesia. Remember, the Dutch ran Indonesia for a long time, so there are lots of Indonesians in Amsterdam. These two are quite close, as you can tell from the photograph. And I love the moment that I captured, because it's a moment that conveys something to you. They're each showing you something. Any comments? I want comments. I'm waiting for comments. Or questions? No? I want them on the next one. Okay, we're going to the next one.
He has nice hair, but
She doesn't.
she didn't comb her hair.
She didn't comb her hair, you're right, she should have. And I didn't ask her to, I wanted her the real girl, the way she really was. No, this is a couple whom I encountered on Main Street during Bike Week, as you can see. And I carelessly put them in front of a great big mural of a motorcyclist, which distracts a little bit, but I focused it out, so you don't see it quite as sharply as you see them. Anyone? Comment? Questions? No? All right. Next couple. Couple in a different sense. It's big brother. He's 11. And his little brother, he's 2 months and a half. And I photographed them a few years ago. Notice that he just lost. It's his last baby tooth that he lost. It's coming in. It'll come in there on his left. All right. Any comments? Yes, sir.
I've noticed you've been chopping hands and arms off.
I often do because I don't want to distract with, every now and then I'll introduce hands into a photograph deliberately, and you'll see that later, especially with a lovely girl. I brought her hands into play as part of the image, but usually I get rid of hands. I want to concentrate on the character, which shows itself mostly with the face, sometimes body language, but mostly with the face. Of course, the eyes, the mouth is the center of the face, but the eyes are the most expressive part of it. It's the face I'm working with mostly. I'm touched by this couple because I think the devotion is there to be seen. And also the fact that he works as a mechanic on his motorcycle lot. Look at his fingernails. But they're a wonderful couple, and I said I'm devoted to couples because they are a special phenomenon. Something is happening between them, and I like to see it and sometimes capture it. Let's go again, Michael. This is a couple I happen to know rather well. They came down from Philadelphia in a car for me to photograph them about 3 or 4 months ago. And I photographed them in a session, and I took them individually, and I took them as a couple, and they liked the photographs, and they found that people who know them like the photographs so much they keep getting asked, and they're giving presents. So I've now shipped 3 different shipments. They've received 32 different photographs from me. They like themselves in the way I treated them. As you can see, I was working especially with the girls' eyes because they were quite striking. And I did things in the darkroom. I was often working in the darkroom, as my introducing lady said, sometimes for hours on one image. And I was working especially with her eyes. I wanted to be sure I brought them out in just the way I was after doing. He is a professor of medical biology, full professor at a university.